Hey, welcome to Bikes, Boats, and Bivouacs. It's time to winterize the rig, but we're going to do it a little different this time. So instead of using the pink antifreeze to winterize the freshwater system, I'm going to drain it and use compressed air to clear it, and I'll just use some pink stuff in the waste tank so that the drain pipes, if there's any water down in there, it won't freeze. So we're not going to put any antifreeze in the freshwater system. So how do we go about doing that? The first step we actually did when we left Twin Grove, our last camping trip of the season. So for the ride home, I opened up all the low drain points and let all the water drain out. And here's my low drain point for the cold water and the hot water. So I opened those up to let them drain. And then we got one on the other side. Here's my other low drain point. So I pushed that and opened that so that could drain. Those hoses are the overflow from the water tank when you're filling your fresh water tank. So I had about an hour, 15-minute drive from Twin Grove down here to the house, and I let that system drain all the water out on the ride home. I closed those drain valves after I unpacked everything from the camper. So next, you want to verify that all the water drained out of your system. So here's my hot water heater, and there's the nylon cap, and you can see there's no water really pouring out of there. So it drained because I had the hot water low point drain open, so it drained everything out. So I'm just gonna put that there so I know where it is. Now my next step is to shut the valves off that allow water to flow into the hot water heater and out into the hot water system. And they're underneath the bottom bunk. So let's go take a look at that. You can see I pulled the mattress off the bottom bunk just because with my back, I don't think I'd be able to hold up that mattress, climb under there and turn the valves. So I have to do things a little differently. So I opened up that this is the flat, the bed. Now you only have storage on this side because the outdoor kitchen is on that side, but underneath that panel is where those valves are. And you can see right here is the valve. So now the water goes through this little blue loop, instead of going into the hot water heater. And then once we're ready to start up the new season, we'll switch those valves back so water goes into the hot water heater and comes out this side and goes down to the rest of the trailer. And then we'll close this back up, and then the mattress goes on here. That preliminary work is done. Now we have to get the air compressor out, hook it up to my water fill where you would hook up your city water. I have a special device that I bought that I hook to my air compressor, and it hooks onto like a hose bib so that we can put air in the system as if it's water, and then we'll open each water outlet inside the camper and outside the camper and make sure all that water is pushed out. And then once I do that, I'll again open up those low point drains, and any water that's down in there will be blown out. That way I don't have to put any antifreeze in the system, because this winter I may head out of town if the weather's going to be bad. Ice makes me a little nervous with the back issues now. So if it's going to be nasty, I might just head down south. We'll have to see. So let's get ready for the next part. So this is the piece that I bought from Amazon. If I can find a link, I'll put it in the description.
And you can see it has a valve to shut the air off, and it goes from the compressor side to your city water connection. And then you can open each of the faucets and the other water outlets in your camper and push all the air out. So that's what we're going to do. So here you can see I got my compressor plugged in, connected it, make sure it works. Now here's the city water connection. We got that hooked up. First thing we'll do is a shower since it's right here. So I'm going to open one of these valves before I turn the air on. So I'm going to open up the hot one first. You see some water coming out of there. As you can see, it's blowing all the water out of that line. I'll open the cold valve, shut that. See it's blowing that out. Of course, you can't forget about the outside kitchen. Now that we know we got that clear, we can go inside and open up the rest of them. So now I shut off the air valve, so I'm not building up pressure inside until I open those valves. So I'll go in, I'll open a valve, and then I'll turn the air on out here. Okay, so I'm going to open this valve. Now I'll go turn the air pressure on. You can see it's spraying out that water. The other thing I'll do, turn on the water pump just to pump any water out of there. There shouldn't be any in it, but just in case. So now that he's running pretty dry, I'm going to open up the other one, shut that off. See, we're getting the water out of there. Okay, now while I still have those open, we're going to go to our next valve, which is the bathroom. We're going to turn one of those on. Now that that's pumping through, and this is all just dry air, I can shut that off. And we got all the air pressure coming onto this one. Looks pretty dry. Turn the other one on. Pretty dry. There's a little bit coming out there, so we'll let that work a little bit. Now remember, I already turned the valves on the hot water heater to bypass. So there's nothing else going on in the hot water heater. So now we'll do the toilet. Now that I got that going, I can shut the sink off. That gets all our air pressure over here. So now I'm going to open up the shower. See the water coming out of there. And got all that water run out. Open the other side. And you see she's running pretty dry. So I'll leave that open until I shut the air compressor off. So we got all of our water points pressed out, except for one thing, the low point drains. We want to hit them one last time. So here's one of my low point drains. Nothing but air there. We'll try the other side. Got a little bit there. And we got some there. I'm gonna leave those open while I shut it off inside. Okay, got all the water out of the system. On to the next step. So I unplugged the compressor. I still have that one open while I'm taking this off. Okay, so we took our end off of there, turn it on and let the residual air flow through there. And close this up. And now that these are all dry, and close those valves. So we pushed all the water out with the air. That's a good fitting to use. So now the only thing left to do is to dump some antifreeze into the drains so that the water doesn't freeze on the drain side. And I'll show you why we want to do that. So on my system, right, I got the gray tank and the black tank coming together here. So at each one of these fittings, there's going to be fluid behind there, a little bit of water. We don't want those valves to freeze and crack. So we'll put pink antifreeze in the drain side, in the gray drains and the black tank, so that antifreeze comes down here, and that'll prevent it from freezing or cracking. Now, this is how I do these systems. I'm not saying it's the right or the wrong way. It's simply the way that I do it. So always consult your manual to see if there's any specific procedures they want you to do, especially if you're in warranty, so you don't void your warranty. But this will allow me to, if I decide in the wintertime to head south, I can hitch up and go, and I don't have to re-sanitize the systems. I can just, you know, fill the tanks when I need to. And then if I have the air compressor with me on my way home, I can blow the system out, and it makes my rig much more accessible for any wintertime travel. So any pink antifreeze will work. I got this at Ace Hardware, I believe. So we'll dump this down the gray tank and the black tank drains, and then we're ready for the winter. The one thing you might want to check is, do your drains have P-traps in them that collect water and keep, you know, the smell from backing up through the system? So if that's the case, then you definitely need to pour these down your drains. And you can see, it doesn't look like I have one. It looks like it goes straight down to the gray tank. But I need fluid in the gray tank anyway, so we're gonna pour some down here. Pour a little down there. Pour a little down there. Now these things, I still haven't cleaned the unit, so that'll be my next project. I want to get this done first. We'll hang that back up since it's had time to drain. And pour a little water, pour a little antifreeze down there. We got that down there. And now, down the black tank. So we did that. Anytime I dump the tank before it's ready to be used, I always put my smell goods in there ahead of time. So even in the winter, I'll dump one of these in there. Okay. The very last thing is to put just a little bit of antifreeze in the toilet bowl to keep that gasket from drying out. So she's prepared for the winter. Now I just have to clean her up so she's ready for the next trip. Of course, you can't forget about the outside kitchen if you have one. So pour a little down the drain for that. So look, if this video helped you, consider subscribing to the channel. It's free, it helps me out a lot. Also ring that bell, you'll be notified every time I put up a new video, and give the video a thumbs up. That helps it be seen by a wider audience. But more important than all that, go have some fun out there. Hey, thanks for watching.